Hello again, everybody. Part 3, and this is diagnostics. We discussed in the previous two about power lock doors. Customer complaint. Customer comes in, complains, says, I used the remote, and I tried to get into the car this morning. It's my husband's car, but tried to get into the car. Nothing worked. The doors didn't open. First question, do the doors open? Do the doors close? Obviously, she can't decide that. She first has to get into the car. She just came with the car and said, you know what? The doors do not work. My remote. She had to try to do it manually. So once I tried it manually, I saw that the switches do not work at all. You cannot open and close the doors. Power doors. Power doors meaning they are hot at all times. Here's the fuses. They're connected to the batteries at all times. You do not have to have the ignition on. You do not have to put the key in the ignition switch. They're hot at all times. You just have to toggle the switches. So when I do that, I see nothing. Now, further questions you have to ask yourself is, manually, I had to use the key to open the door. Once I got in, I saw nothing works. So that tells me right away, okay. I got emails from people who said the first thing that I do is I check the fuses. The first thing that I do. I got another email from someone who said the motors could be defective. Okay, let's analyze those theories to practical. Now, the fact that the doors do not open, passenger, driver, nothing works. I go and I think to myself, okay, if the fuses are bad, we have two fuses here. Door lock, we have another one. If one of these fuses would be bad, I would still have the option of either locking or unlocking the door. Let me repeat that. This is door lock. This tells me there's a module in here that's specified for locking the doors. I cannot lock the doors electronically. That tells me that this and this cannot be the problem. Because if locking would be the problem, I would be able to unlock it, but I have no power for anything. That tells me I have to refute these. These are not the problem. The other one, can the motors be the problem? Well, how many motors do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of tough that 4 motors would be defective. Kind of tough and hard really to understand that. But that would not be the case, because if any motor would be defective, you could still unlock or lock another door. What about the switches? Always possible, but you have 2 switches. I can't unlock or lock the driver. I can't unlock and lock the passenger. That tells me no power is coming. What do? I'm trying to crank the car. I crank the car. I can't even crank the car. I can't even turn over the engine. I turn on the switch, the light switch. Nothing. This car is completely dead. So, that helps me more. When I come over here, and I come over here to B+, right? When I come over here, and I come over here, what do you think I measure? I should measure really 12 volts, correct? Instead of 12 volts, what did I measure? I measured about 10.5, 10.6. That can either be, these are really, really draining and pulling these down, which is hard to believe, by this module, which is hard to believe, because you can still crank the engine. I can still put on the lights, so that doesn't make sense. Therefore, the only logical explanation is that the battery died. When the battery died, instead of 12 volts, it went down to 10.6 volts, 10 volts, you can even put the lights on. Let alone crank an engine for 300 amps. That'll never happen. If I cannot put the lights on, and I can't even get the power switches for the doors to work, you can forget about cranking an engine, a 6-cylinder or 4-cylinder, for 300 amps. It'll never happen. So therefore, The fact that she didn't do other things, she didn't try other things, was just because she was locked out. And when we saw that, when I saw the power switches do not work, and I tried to crank it, and I tried to put the lights on, that right away told me, you know what, that makes sense, because the power doors need 12 volts to operate. Why? When you have 12 volts, when you have 10 volts, 10.5 volts, that's not enough for the module. Thus, a lesson to be learned here. When you have power doors, remember, if you lose the battery, you will lose the ability to power lock and unlock your doors. You have to do it manually. So always keep that in mind. Power doors, power windows, if I lose the battery, it was drained, or I left the lights on and the battery died on me, you cannot get into your doors. Keep that in mind all the time. So that's the valuable lesson that we learned about. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, informative, helpful. Like I said, please go to my channel of Automotive Electronic Schematics by Joseph. I have another channel called Joe Electronics for basic electronics, diagrams and all that. Also doing pretty good, I guess, in the beginning. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. And remember, if you have power doors, be sure the battery is fully charged. Otherwise, the doors will not work. Thanks for watching.